In Pittsburgh, this is Channel 11, the news station.
Good evening, everyone. In the news at this hour, the Los Angeles police have a suspect in the Skid Row slasher murders. And locally, a group of youngsters took a special kind of Sunday walk today. More on that a bit later, but our top story concerns some serious charges that have been made about the extent of the U.S. involvement in the war in Cambodia. Senator Stuart Symington says the U.S. Embassy in Phnom Penh has secretly directed airstrikes in Cambodia, and he says that's a violation of the Paris Peace Agreement. Symington says the embassy directed airstrikes within the past year, and he claimed that the Secretary of State didn't even know about it. In the meantime, Cambodian rebels kept up their rocket fire on the Phnom Penh airport, but the rocket fire didn't stop the American airlift.
Phnom Penh's Ponchentong Airport has been under bombardment for over 2 months. Rockets and artillery continue to pound away every day, but the airport still functions. It has to for the city to survive. The American airlift of ammunition and rice has continued. It's occasionally suspended for short periods if the rebel fire intensifies or gets too accurate. Although there have been a few close calls and some damage to 1 or 2 of the planes, none have been destroyed. One of the reasons for this is that the unloading of the airlift is taking place on the military side of the airport, the place farthest from the insurgents' rocket and artillery fire. An occasional shell does fall there, but thus far at least, normal activity hasn't been interrupted. There's only one runway, however, and that is a constant target. The rebels know that if they can move in a little closer to the airport, they can bring the military side under heavy bombardment.
Meanwhile, in Washington, House Republican leader John Rhodes says chances for a compromise between Congress and the administration of an aid bill for Cambodia appears to be just about dead. Rhodes says it is possible there could be a vote on the compromise bill by the end of the week, but he expects it to fail because of Democratic opposition. Well, Secretary of State Kissinger received what he calls proposal and assessments from Israeli leaders to take to Egypt in his push for a Sinai settlement. Israeli leaders say that today's meeting with Kissinger wasn't enough, so they'll hold another session tomorrow before the Secretary of State leaves for Egypt. Well, closer to home, more than 700 children turned out for a walk for Israel's humanitarian and social needs today. The group started the march in Squirrel Hill. They walked through the East End and finally ended up at the Jewish Community Center in Oakland. Each of the marchers was sponsored by individuals and organizations which donated money to the Israel Emergency Fund for each mile stepped off. Several synagogues along the march route served as checkpoints and provided refreshments and in some cases bandages for sore feet and blistered toes. LUELLA Mattis explained how the march here in Pittsburgh would benefit the people of Israel.
Israel has to absorb many thousand immigrants every year, and there have to be funds available for schools, homes, industries in order to create jobs for them. It's a tremendous drain on them. And one of the ways that we can help is through this Walk for Israel.
The exact amount of money collected today will not be known for some time, but the first time the Walk for Israel was held, and that was in 1973, just after the October War, some $50,000 was collected.
Mrs. Fitzhorton, it's on the way. Lou, bring everything. Let's go.
Fortunately, the Sandwich King had a new AMC Pacer. The Pacer is wider than any other small car, so he had room to work on his giant creations. And since it's wider, it gives an incredibly stable ride at a time he couldn't afford to make any mistakes. The AMC Pacer. No other small car can make this sandwich.
McDonald's introduces a new, improved morning. Yeah, morning. That's why McDonald's has a new breakfast menu with hotcakes and country pork sausage. We know, morning. So McDonald's has melt-in-your-mouth Danish pastries, egg McMuffin, and your choice of 4 juices. We've made eating a good breakfast out quick, convenient, and inexpensive because we know about morning. We know.
The FBI has confirmed reports that the search for Patty Hearst is once again centered in the San Francisco Bay Area. But another report says that fingerprints belonging to William Harris, who along with his wife Emily is believed with Miss Hearst, they were found in a New York apartment once occupied by Jack Scott, said to be a friend of the fugitives. Well, Scott is also missing now. Here's more on that story.
Jack Scott and his wife Mickey lived in this Manhattan brownstone between March and September of last year. They occupied a fourth-floor apartment. Neighbors said today the Scotts had a lot of visitors, mostly young people with long hair, jeans, and backpacks. One former neighbor, Suzanne Henderson, now lives in Maine. She said that last spring the Scotts were visited by a man who looks like William Harris, who's being sought along with Patricia Hearst.
About a week ago, 2 FBI men came to talk with me, and they showed me pictures. One of them was William Harris. I said I saw a man that looked like Harris who called himself Marty. He stayed with the Scotts in New York in late May or June. I had several conversations with Marty, and he had a 5-year-old boy with him named David.
Mrs. Henderson said that Scott and the man she knew as Marty often jogged together in this park near the apartment. But Mrs. Henderson and other neighbors said they don't remember seeing anyone who resembled Patricia Hearst or Harris's wife, Emily. Tony Guida, NBC News, New York.
Funeral arrangements for multimillionaire Aristotle Onassis call for him to be buried on his private Greek island of Skorpios in the Adriatic Sea. The funeral will be closed and only family members will attend. Onassis will be buried next to his only son, Alexander, who died in an airplane crash 2 years ago. Now, the bulk of the Onassis financial empire will probably go to the shipping magnate's daughter, Christina. But sources close to the family say Onassis' widow, Jacqueline, and her 2 children will be well provided for. A man already in custody will be charged in connection with the Los Angeles Skid Row slasher murders. 31-year-old Vaughn Greenwood, who has been in jail since a February 2nd burglary, will be charged in connection with the bizarre murders of 9 men. Their bodies were found between December 1st and January 31st. Well, just in case no one noticed, may I be the first to tell you that this is the last weekend of winter. Did you realize that?
Yes, I did.
Spring officially arrives next Friday. So sing a spring song, Mr. Weatherman.
Something like 1:57 in the morning it starts?
You did realize that.
Oh, I've been waiting for it. And if you want to be technical, you can say the first full day of spring will be Saturday, because it misses by an hour and 57 minutes on Friday. Spring is back again. Starting tomorrow, it will be spring-like. Tuesday, we'll be up close to the 60-degree mark. I was playfully talking about snow here in the studio because there is some snow falling out there. Let me show you our radar screen. The only thing about it, and I say playfully, is because it's falling only between about the 20,000-foot level and 5,000. There it changes to rain. And from there on, most of it's just absorbed in the ground, in the air at ground level. This is rainfall, and you can see another batch of it over here. Most of that is not reaching the ground. The air is dry enough to just, like a big sponge, just kind of sop it right up. And hopefully it won't get too much worse. Oh, every now and again the sky does leak a little and some is reaching the ground. A few places have reported very light rain as a result of this. But it's been like that now several hours, and we haven't seen any that I've been able to report from around the Pittsburgh city area. It's to the south a little bit, but nothing much. It's just been out there, and so the snow, it's all up in the sky, and even the rain part isn't coming down on us. We'll get some, though, before the night's over, it looks like. If we go back a few years, you look to 1945, and you can see what we can do if we really try. 78 degrees for a high temperature. 1911, 4 degrees was the low. 45 was our high today, 27 the low. We're 2 degrees warmer than normal. A normal high for today would be about 47, so we're just a couple of degrees off that. You can see we did have a trace of snow still on the ground, and you can see at the airport about 3 inches, they're saying. Outdoors today, a little earlier, it looked about like this. People were able to enjoy the day. Oh, it wasn't flooded with sunshine or anything, but all in all, it was the start of a couple of springish type days. We're at 42 degrees now with relative humidity at 57%. The barometer is falling. Wind is from the north at 6 miles an hour. Okay, here's what's coming our way. By the way, this stationary front down here is triggering a lot of problems and nuisance for people along the Gulf. Let me draw one of my brilliant creations. That is a storm cloud. And if you like, I'll even put a little, that's lightning. You like that? The museums all fight for these after I'm through. Little lightning thunderstorm down along the Gulf Coast region. Oh, a couple of inches of rain has fallen. The perhaps some flooding could develop as a result of it. It just won't go away. It's going to stay like that coming down into Florida, too. Mainly, it's been in the panhandle of Florida the last day or so. They just can't seem to clear it out. We have high pressure right here, and so once our little bit of shower activity and cloud clears out, I had thought we'd see the sun today, but it didn't break through. Once that all clears out tomorrow, we'll be running into sunshine. Things will be looking better, especially by the afternoon. So we'll have sunshine tomorrow. A little bit of that sunshine will still be with us on Tuesday. Things will be looking rather nice. By Tuesday night, however, this thing out here will be on us. And what does it have? Do you recognize that symbol? That's a fun one. That's snow. Parts of the mountain ranges have reported as much as 2 inches of snow with that storm center. It'll bring us rain, looks like right now. Holton, Maine was 2 below zero. Compare that to Cleveland with 32, 33 in Youngstown to 37, 43 very light rain reported here. We're at 42, the middle to upper 30s. Bradford's at 35. The air downtown was too dirty, 65. Hazelwood 2 was acceptable with 34. The 5-day forecast looks promising. Tomorrow, springish. Spring arrives Friday, but it'll spring-like tomorrow and on Tuesday. Wednesday, we'll see rain. Thursday, it'll be cooler, but things will be clearing up and leading into some sunshine again by Friday. We're going to have a pretty good week, looks like, for spring coming in. Occasional light rain tonight, 34. Some sun tomorrow, high about 51 by Tuesday. How does 57, 58? The other night I was talking to that. The guys wouldn't stop me. I went up to 60 before we had to quit.
Now that it's almost all over, tell me officially, was this really a tough winter, or was it just
wasn't really
normal
tough. We had a few inches more than normal, but we just got so used to the last few years with not much spoiled.
We sure did. We sure did. Oh, how nice it'll be. Spring just around the corner. Say, almost 300 cats showed up at the airport Sheraton Inn today. Not the people variety. They were the real thing.
Some of the rarest breeds in America competed for prizes at the 4th Annual Championship Show. Those competing were mostly professional breeders, but Pittsburgh area household pets were also invited. One of these rare breeds included the Burmans, bred in Europe, which sell for some $300. These cats were found in the Buddhist temples of Burma. Another import, this one from Turkey, bore the distinction of being the only Angora of its kind at today's show, which included almost 300 cats. There were originally only 8 Turkish Angoras imported to America. Abracadabra's offspring will bring about $200. The cat cages may not have looked very humane at first glance, but some of the most elaborate appointments available were there when you looked inside. The judging is serious business. The categories included all breeds of long hair and short hair varieties, and the average person couldn't meet the championship requirements of these cats.
Each breed of cat has a standard that's made up by a breed council of breeders of that particular breed, and they have a point score, and they're judged on coat and head type, body type, color, ear set, condition. So you have to have a cat that pretty well meets a standard to be a winner.
There's cat love, and then there's cat love. But probably the classiest suite in the whole hotel today belongs to Tiffany. And Sawyer, Channel 11 NEWSWATCH.
The Cat Show was sponsored by the Three Rivers Club. The proceeds go to the Robert H. Wynn Foundation for research into feline diseases. We'll take a look at more late news and have a complete sports report coming up in the next segment of NEWSWATCH.
Like my hair? Meet my hair secret. She put me on a strict milk diet with milk plus 6 shampoo, made from milk plus 6 natural ingredients. Revlon put a shampoo and conditioner in one bottle. The conditioner stays in. You can feel it. No tangling. My hair's obedient with shine, shine, shine.
For normal hair, damaged hair, even for oily hair, Milk Plus 6 by Revlon.
Attention all units. Hold up in progress at Boone and Peller. Subject fleeing.
Police radio is on the air, in action, around the clock. The busiest and most exciting radio network in town. And you can be a part of all of it, right in your own home, automatically.
We're in pursuit, moving west.
Get in on the action now with the exciting Regency Monitor Radio Scanner.
There's a Regency model for every purpose, every person. Lafayette Radio, Wheeling, Greensburg, and Frank's Electronics, Cannonsburg.
Members of 2 Western Pennsylvania construction unions have voted to take a 35% pay cut so that more union members can get back to work. The unions, Lathers Local 23 and Plasters Local 32, are taking the action because 35 to 40% of their membership is unemployed. Under the plan, the union's hourly wage will drop from $10.38 to $6.96 for most jobs. Sources in Washington say it appears likely that the Democratic-controlled Congress will approve health insurance for unemployed workers. But if Congress does do it, President Ford is expected to veto the plan. Health, Education, and Welfare Secretary Caspar Weinberger has opposed the idea in appearances before House and Senate committees, and it's certain that he will recommend that the president veto the bill if it does pass. More than 150 entries competing for $250,000 in prize money were on display at the 17th Annual Pittsburgh Car, Van, and Cycle Show at the Civic Arena. Now, last year, 30,000 people attended the show. This time, the attendance exceeded that number by several thousand.
A record-breaking crowd stood patiently in the chill in lines that circle the entire Civic Center, waiting to see the million-dollar display of cars, vans, and motorcycles. Inside, thousands of people elbowed their way throughout the arena, where every conceivable make and model shown with paint jobs that cost at least $5,000. There was a $20,000 Volkswagen dune buggy, a 1927 Bugatti on sale for a mere $3,800, and an Econoline van that would make wood lovers eat their hearts out. For additional entertainment, if the cars weren't enough, the stars from the Planet of the Apes, replete with costumes, talked to and answered questions from thousands of children, signing autographs. And last but not least, Burt Ward, better known as Robin from the Batman series, also signed autographs as the little and big ones pushed through to greet him.
Personally, I like this one, but I don't think I can quite afford it. It costs $100,000 and it's insured for $500,000. Ann Sawyer, Channel 11 NEWSWATCH.
Ann tells us that for 50 cents extra, you could see the bullet-ridden Godfather car. Well, in sports, Jack Nicklaus was the top money winner at the Doral Eastern Open in Miami today, and the Pens played their 71st hockey game of the season at the arena tonight. Bet you didn't think I knew that.
No, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And they walked away with it, too, again.
That's your turn.
The high-scoring Pittsburgh Pens whipped the Kansas City Scouts 6-3 tonight at the Civic Arena. The victory gives the Pens 33 wins, 24 losses, and 14 ties for the season. The 33 wins is a new club record. A sellout crowd, the 4th straight at the arena, witnessed the feat. Rick Kehoe had another big night for the Pens. Rick scored his 29th and 30th goals to become the 5th Penguin in history to score 30 goals in a season. He also had 2 assists. He had 4 assists in last night's 12-1 shellacking over Washington, giving him 8 points for the weekend. Lowell McDonald also had 2 goals tonight for the Pens. In other NHL action, Philadelphia Flyer goalie Bernie Parent earned his 11th shutout of the season today as the Flyers blanked the Los Angeles Kings 3-0 at the Spectrum. Minnesota edged Detroit 4-3. Buffalo, and you'll like this, Ken, they crushed Toronto 11-3. Boston beat St. Louis 7-2. Jack Nicklaus feels he's ready for the Masters. Today he rolled a 20-foot birdie putt on the 18th hole for 68 and won the $30,000 first prize in the Doral Open. Forrest Fessler and Burt Yancey were second at 279. Johnny Miller was 4th at 280. It was Jack's first win since last Labor Day. The last time he won the Doral was in 1972, and that year he went on to win the Masters. For more on Jack's performance today, here's Dick Schaap.
Jack Nicklaus was 2 strokes ahead of the Doral field when he lined up this long birdie putt on the 14th hole. When the putt dropped, Nicklaus had a 3-stroke lead. But Nicklaus bogeyed the 16th, and when Burt Yancey sank this birdie putt on 16, he moved within a stroke of Nicklaus. Yancey would have moved into a tie if this putt on 17 had held its line, but it didn't, and it wouldn't have made much difference anyway. Nicklaus ended Yancey's hope and everyone else's when he rolled in this birdie putt on 18. Nicklaus had his first victory of the year and the 54th of his career. Dick Schaap.
Bill Verdon's Yankees are giving the Bucks a rough time in Grapefruit League play. New York made it 2 in a row today, whipping the Pirates 12-3 at Fort Lauderdale. However, there was one bright spot for the Bucks. Lefty Sam McDowell turned in a second strong effort. Sudden Sam held his former teammates scoreless over 3 innings, giving up just 2 hits and 1 walk. Pitt coach Buzz Riddle says he expects a tough game from Providence Tuesday night in the second round of the NIT in New York, but he doesn't expect the Friars to be any tougher than some of the teams Pitt has played this year. Riddle's main concern is the Friars' 7 different defenses, which they constantly switch. Pitt normally uses 2, with the famed amoeba defense its bread and butter. One of Riddle's prized pupils, Billy Knight, had a big day in his rookie season as a pro. Billy scored a career-high 39 points, grabbed 18 rebounds and 9 assists while leading Indiana to a 121-103 over the Virginia Squires in an ABA game. And in college basketball action today, Drake upset Arizona 83-76 to win the National Commissioner's Invitational in Louisville. In NIT play, South Carolina overpowered Connecticut 71-59. Princeton routed Holy Cross 84-83, and Oral Roberts squeaked past Memphis State 97-95. And that is it.
We should be able to stand in line pretty soon for Penguin playoff tickets.
Oh yes, Stanley Cups, we're going to go all the way. They're third now, by the way, in the playoff list, the first round.
Well, this has really turned into some kind of sports town. We'll check more late developments and have a report on women in the news right after this time out.
Hi, I'm George Christie, and I'm the project manager for the Public Transportation Program here at Atlantic Richfield Company. Right now, we're in the process of putting together a book containing some of the ideas sent in to us. We think it's going to make very interesting reading because you've sent in some highly creative ideas. Now, we're not kidding ourselves. We don't expect to revolutionize public transportation in this country overnight. Our objective since the beginning has been simply this: to get you thinking about public transportation. The ideas we've already received prove that lots of you are. Since the book isn't finished, there's still room for some more ideas. So where's your idea on public transportation?
There are reports tonight that the Rockefeller Commission will check charges that the Central Intelligence Agency was involved in the assassination plots against foreign government leaders. The New York Times quotes a high White House official as saying President Ford became aware of the possibility of CIA involvement in murder plots following a briefing by CIA Director William Colby. In that briefing, Colby warned the president that a wide-ranging investigation of the spy organization could turn up sensitive matters that perhaps the public should not know about. Police in Northern Ireland say they have discovered 7 boxes of shamrocks in Belfast that have been booby-trapped with deadly explosives. Irish families throughout Britain have been warned that St. Patrick's Day parcels, which will be delivered tomorrow, might contain bombs. The parcels discovered in Belfast were addressed to Catholics in Northern Ireland and Britain, and they carried messages saying, "Shamrocks from Ireland," and "Happy St. Patrick's Day." Well, it's time now for our report on women and their status in our society, and with that news, here's Cherry.
Thank you, Eleanor. This past week began with a protest by the National Organization for Women, a protest against a new policy by West Penn Hospital not to perform abortions after the 12th week of pregnancy. The new rule was brought about by a manslaughter conviction of a Boston doctor who performed a late-term abortion. Now's Debbie Erb explained the new policy would really hurt young and poor women most.
This decision will particularly influence poor women and young women. There are many classifications of women who do not recognize the signs of pregnancy early enough.
Why do you think that is?
Abortion. Why? Young women who've never been pregnant before, older women, menopausal women who do not have regular periods, women who have health problems. Another reason we feel that there's a need for second-term abortions is the fact that genetic defects are unrecognizable, undeterminable until after the 12th week generally.
Members of the hospital administration did not meet with any of the NOW protesters. After grumblings by some congressmen that she was not qualified, Carla Hills was sworn in this past Monday as the nation's new Secretary of Housing and Urban Affairs. She is the 3rd woman in the nation's history to hold such an important job, and President Ford praised Mrs. Hills' ability to get the housing industry moving once again.
Carla will not be alone in the task facing her, spending all of that money.
She has an excellent department to work with at HUD, and I'm completely optimistic about the future of that agency under her leadership. So from this moment on, let me make one final suggestion. If you have any questions, any problems, or any concerns about housing and urban development, don't come to me. Head for the hills.
I believe that we will succeed. For I've had the privilege of serving in the Department of Justice with a group of very talented and highly professional people for whom I have the highest regard and very deep affection. And I believe that my regard and my affection will be just as strong in working with those persons with whom I'll have the privilege of working at HUD.
Most of the criticism against Mrs. Hills was that she had little experience in the housing field. A caucus of Democratic women this past week asked the Democratic National Committee not to hold the 1976 convention in any state that has not adopted the Equal Rights Amendment. A caucus spokeswoman said the best way to show support for the Equal Rights Amendment is by staying out of states that have turned it down. It was not a particularly good week for the amendment. The Indiana State Senate voted it down last Monday by a 27-21 vote, but supporters still expect eventual ratification. And there's a big battle shaping up in Congress over the question of whether women can be admitted to the U.S. Air Force Academy. Ohio Congressman Charles Vanek has promised to lead the battle after one of his constituents was rejected because of her sex.
18-year-old Judy Medina knew when she applied that the Air Force Academy was all male. But she went ahead anyway, hoping the Academy might be the next institution to open its doors to women. The Air Force turned Judy down, telling her congressman the Academy exists to train combat pilots, and because women are prevented by law from serving in combat, Judy could not be admitted.
A woman is qualified to be a combat pilot, I'm sure. A woman has very fast reactions, and a woman is basically intelligent, as is any man. I think a woman can enter the Air Force Academy, and I think women would be an asset to the Academy.
Judy does not plan to take any legal action, but if a bill pending before Congress to allow women in the Air Force Academy should pass, Judy is still interested. Brian Ross, NBC News, Cleveland.
That's one story we'll be keeping an eye on. Women across the country are taking steps to improve the quality of children's TV programming. Pittsburgh's own Molly Miller works for local public service announcements for nutrition, which is now a regular part of local television programming, as well as spots advising on the wide use of TV by child viewers themselves. In Mississippi, Joan Carson, a professor at the University of Mississippi School of Education, has created a kids program called Fun Shop, which bans any commercial messages that women are part of ACT. It's a citizens group for improvements in children's television. Eleanor?
Okay, Cherry. Well, that's the news for this Sunday, March 16th. Just enough time to tell you that Ken says tomorrow is going to be a lovely day. Spring-like is what he calls it. We'll have a high temperature of 51 degrees. Now for Dee, for Cherry, Ken, the entire NEWSWATCH staff, I'm Eleanor Schano. Have a good night.
You have just seen NEWSWATCH, the most complete, factual, and pictorial television news broadcast available. The next NEWSWATCH at 7:25 tomorrow morning.